Hi everyone, it's Marissa Malik and I'm AliveMiss going live with Chris. That rhymes, guys, that rhymes.
Marissa, thank you. Thank
Hi.
you for doing this. I know that I've said that I was going to do this a long time ago, maybe like 2 years ago. And now we're 2 years down the track and I'm finally doing it. And when I reached out to
Happy
you,
to do it.
Thank you. You said that you were in hospital and I thought, maybe this is a good opportunity for us to get into it. So
you've got the time. So yes, absolutely.
Exactly. Plus we're in the pandemic craziness in the world.
Exactly.
So Marissa, could you please just let everyone know why you're in hospital and what's the reason? So what's your journey been? How's it all began?
Okay. So I have a spinal AVM. My case is 1 in 25 million. And the AVM is like an extra tangled web of arteries and veins that are not supposed to be there at all. The capillaries do not connect they don't exist how it's supposed to. And it goes through my spinal cord on the whole length of my neck and on the base of my brain. And I first had a hemorrhage when I was 14 years old and now I'm 30 and I'm in the hospital. This is close to 2 weeks because I've had a minor stroke and potential small bleeds because the AVM, and I have aneurysms inside the AVM, you can't operate on them. So they keep causing a lot of interference and problems.
So thank you for sharing.
Okay.
What does AVM stand for?
Oh, you're really wanting to test me.
Yeah.
I've had this condition for like 16 years. Artery malformation.
I was trying to think
Go
of it
and just Google. I have to think of how to say it. My mum knows how to say it. I just say AVM because it's like, you know.
Spinal AVM.
Spinal AVM.
Yeah.
And so I was the youngest with the worst case.
Yeah.
In
the
pretty
world?
much Australia. Because at that time there was only 23 people. 1 second.
Afternoon tea.
No, thank you. I'm okay. Thanks so much. So when it was 2005 when I first had a hemorrhage and they found it, and there was only I think the population in Australia was 23 million and I'm 1 in 25 million.
Yeah, wow.
So people in Australia do have types of AVMs, but they can be operated and removed and they don't even cause problems. Mine is very much alive.
Yeah.
And in the worst spot.
Yeah. You've been into hospital how many times?
Okay, so this is hospital 19.
Wow.
Long lifetime. Yeah, so 19 times in hospitals in 16 years, 19 hospital admissions. But there is definitely times where I've been home or pulled up at the front of the hospital and not come into the hospital. Yeah. But, and I'm just kind of taking care of it at home, but 19 hospital admissions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take us back to when you were 14 and it first happened.
Okay, let's go way, way, way back.
Let's get in the time machine.
I can tell you it was the 1st of May in 2005. Yeah. And so I was, I think, year 10, year 11, something like that. And it was the first day back at school, so for the term. So I had a really heavy school bag, and I was, as you normally do, I've never had any issues. I was healthy, and I was carrying the school bag, and I just started to feel a bit funny and a bit weak. And then all of us girls, we used to sit kind of where the canteen was. So it was on the top of kind of a hill, and we used to sit there. There was 20, maybe more of us all sitting down. We'd have a big gossip before we go into roll call and stuff. And as we're sitting there, and we're obviously talking because it's the first day back for the term, so we're all chatting about our time in the holidays. And I was sitting there and just suddenly it's like, this is like winter, so it's cold. So I felt like this like cold, like it's like almost like a cold wind that kind of was in my, like, to my neck. And I just suddenly got this sensation that my neck was not attached, that my head was not attached to my neck, and that if I moved my head forward, my head would fall off. So
Oh, wow.
I was just literally sitting there thinking, what the fuck what is happening here? And I did not speak to anyone, and no one even noticed that I had not been speaking for a few minutes. And I was sitting there, and I literally it was my voice, but in my head, say to me, do not move your head. Like, it was just a firm, straight, do not move. So I sat there and I was like waiting. And then few minutes later, I guess, the bell rang for us to go to roll call. And I was thinking, fuck, okay, I have to get up. So I got up, I picked up the school bag, and I went to roll call. And as soon as my first friend saw me at the roll call, this is like moments, and she looked at me, and I looked at her like, babe, I don't feel good, like something's wrong. And she was like, yeah, you don't look good at all. And she literally looked at me like, something is seriously wrong. Like, something is not just not okay. Like, something is seriously wrong. And stubborn old me, I was like, so I went to the first class, which was drama, and my twin sister Tash and my other best friends were in the class. So I'm in roll call, and then just suddenly I tell them that I'm not feeling good, and then suddenly I run out of class because I need to throw up. So I go to the bathroom and I throw up in the toilet, and Fee and Tash come to the toilet. And I think I was in that toilet, and I thought, like, if I think about it now, I literally think that I was like, death was on the corner, right? And then when they came into the bathroom, I felt this like shift in energy. And after that, I went out of the bathroom. I went to the second class only for a moment, and I saw another friend in the second class that I had, and she literally looked at me. She was like, did you not put makeup on today or something? And I said, no, I have makeup on. And she was like, you need to go home. So I had to go to the office. I then was on the phone with my mom, trying to convince her that she had to pick me up from school, because she was like, oh, aren't you fine? Like, and I was like, no, like, you need to pick me up. Like, I don't know, I don't feel good. Like, you need to come and get me. So she picked me up, and it was literally, this is like in, let's say, 2 hours from the start of the day. Okay. So then I get to the car, and my head's hurting, and I feel weird, and my neck is very stiff, and I'm very weak. And I start to turn the volume down, and my mum starts to realize, because she was going to drop me home, I would have been by myself, and she starts to realize that something isn't right. So then she pulls up at my grandparents' place, and then when she gets out of the car to get me out, I can't walk. So I'm complete dead weight, and she's thinking, what the fuck is going on? So she like pretty much like dead weight gets me to the front of the house, in the front room at my grandparents' house. And my grandparents are like panicking, and at that point I'm laying in the bed, and I can't move my neck, and I can't move my legs. So she calls our GP, and he goes, yeah, call the ambulance straight away. So call the ambulance, call my dad and everyone. Anyway, so the ambulance comes, they get me out of the house, and I'm going in the ambulance, and the ambulance is driving really slow, and my dad is following the ambulance, and he's thinking, this is an emergency, why are you driving so slow? But it was because it was like code blue, and I must have been crashing, so they don't so it wasn't a good thing. So they kept me stable, and I get into the emergency, and I just remember, so I'm laying there, 14 years old, in the emergency, and I can't move my neck, can't move my legs, and I can't lift myself up at all. So I'm paralysed, and I can hear my parents are behind me, and the doctors are talking to my parents, and they're saying to my parents, we're treating her for a hemorrhage in the brain. And I'm just thinking, oh shit. So yeah, that was like the start of the journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like I don't think I ever
It
asked.
sounds like a movie.
Yeah, man. I don't think you ever told me like how it all started.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really interesting to find out
I've
now.
written about it. I haven't
Yeah.
posted it. And it's really crazy because like when I've gone back and spoken to people about that day, like these friends that were there, and they literally were like, the reason why I thought you did not look well is you were actually yellow in the face.
Yeah.
Like that physically ill. And even I didn't talk about it to my sister and my best friend. We didn't talk about it. And one night we were out until early hours of the morning. And this was probably only like 5 years ago. And we were talking about that day. And we never spoke about that day. And I told them how when I was in the bathroom, I felt like I was going to the dark side. And when they came into the bathroom, the energy shifted. And it sounds really crazy. I'd never told anyone that. And they literally both said that they felt exactly the same thing. Wow. And it was like over 10 years and we had never spoken about it. Wow. So I don't know. There was definitely angels and people protecting me. Yeah. Because like otherwise it just sounds crazy. Like this is someone that has no previous health conditions. Like, so it's not like there was ever, that's not a normal thing that you're going to feel and experience. Yeah. Isn't it? It's so interesting how like when we kind of talk to people like further down the track, and then we find out like, you know, having this conversation with them like 10 years later and being like, this is actually what I felt and was going on. It's like, we were actually feeling that kind of too. So, so interesting when that happens. Yeah, it is. It is. It's you just kind of connect to a different world. Yeah. It's not what, you know, there's the conscious world, there's a not conscious world, there's just 100. Like there's a spiritual world, and I think it's fairly close to us, closer than we think. Yeah, 100%. Which I wanted to ask, when you went into for the first time, did you know it was a spinal AVM after that time? Okay, so they did a CT scan, and the CT scan didn't show, because the CT scan is like if you've had a massive, like you're going to die, bleed, it will come up on a CT scan. So it didn't show that in the CT scan. And then they were really like, I was in the children's hospital and they were like really like thinking, what is this? Yeah. And then it was really like this nurse who was a parent of one of the girls that was in my grade at school, and they thought that maybe I had meningitis because my younger sister had meningitis as a baby, so they thought maybe it's meningitis, because like I had lost movement and stuff like that. Then they were like, no, hang on a second, let's do a lumbar punch. So you're totally awake, you have to crawl, doesn't sound like go fun. In like a ball, okay? Yeah. And they like a massive needle into your spinal cord to take the fluid out of your spinal cord. So it's like what you do, like an epidural when you're pregnant, and except when you do the epidural, they're injecting something into it. What this is doing is they're taking the fluid out. Ow. Okay, so they're taking your spinal fluid out. And my mom, like, she's such a soldier. Like, she literally was like keeping me like stuck in this ball position and like was holding the thing down for the nurse, and the nurse is doing it, and I literally I'm not allowed to move, and I just had like tears flowing down my cheeks. It felt like the needle was going to come out of my stomach. Like, it was intense. And then when they got the results for that, I had blood in my spinal cord, and you're not supposed to have blood in your spinal fluid. So then after that, they did an MRI scan and they put dye in your blood so you can really see it. And that's when they found the AVM. And then the neurosurgeons had to really sit my parents down in a room and explain to them that your daughter is 1 in 25 million and this is going to kill her, or she's going to be totally disabled. And we can't help, we can't operate on this because she'll die. So then I don't know how they thought that they could come and then be there to watch the neurosurgeons explain it to me in front of them. So, but yeah, and then I've kind of always had this attitude towards it. Like I've always kind of like, I probably would have sat there and maybe cried, but I've got this very strong demeanor. So I think inside I was probably like dying, but really I was just like thinking it's like shock. Like what do you process? Like at that time, I also still could not move. I was in the hospital that first time for 5 weeks, and I didn't eat for 3 weeks. Wow. And I couldn't lift up for 3 weeks. And they literally were like, if you don't start eating, my dad said, if you don't start eating, because I'd lost 10 kilos in 5 weeks. And they said, if you don't start eating, you're going to need a feeding tube. And I was like, I don't want that, So that kind of scared me. I started to just have like the sustagen poppers and stuff like that.
Sustagen. The feeding tube is
foul.
The feeding tube is the thing that up your nose
goes in your nose,
goes into your stomach.
Yeah, and that kind of freaks me out because I knew that was like, that is just too much inside. No.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I that was the first. So I remember like when I was in the hospital, like everyone from the boys and the girls' school that I used to hang out with after school, they would all wait in the hallways and in the waiting room. There would be like 30 of them, and where I was in the neuro ward where I am now, I was like the first bed. So when the high dependency doors open, you would see me like right there from the hall. So I could see everyone kind of waiting. And I used to like save all my energy. So I could come and they would all come and I would tell them and they would tell me about school and I would tell them like still smiling and talking. But I literally would be like, look, I can't lift up and I can't do this. And they were just probably like amazed, but I was still like laughing and talking and stuff like that. But my parents were like, okay, you need to like have like less people because she uses all her energy to socialize with everyone. but then I like collapse afterwards. So
How was it for you being 14 and going through that on an emotional, mental and physical level?
I think at the start you're shocked. So you just have to like process it in a black and white way, and especially when people say that you are going to die, you're going to have one big bleed and you're just going to die. Like, I don't know how a 14-year-old is even supposed to like comprehend that in your mind. But I remember like after I was in the hospital for 5 weeks and then I didn't go back to school. So I was probably like 3 months behind in school and I still wanted to try to be like everybody else. So I went back to school and when I went back to school, I was so behind and my hands would shake like this. They started me on over 30 pills a day. Wow. From the first day that I was in hospital. So my hands would be like this, my head, my neck, I'm talking excruciating pain every second. And I had that pain for over 15 years, every second of the day. And to be that young from like 14, I turned 15 while I was in the hospital, the first hospital admission. And I just was like, I remember trying to go back to school and trying to be like everyone else. I wasn't allowed to carry not even 10 kilos. So I wasn't allowed to take a school bag. I wasn't allowed to carry my books. So I had books at home and my sister would hold books and I'd have like stuff in the locker. And I remember I'd be sitting, there was a class that I was sitting in and at that time, I used to use a projector a lot. So my head was killing me. I could barely write. And I remember I was trying to do work and listen to the teacher and I couldn't listen to the teacher. My eyes were killing me. My head was killing me. I was trying to like copy on the board. And then I'm anxious thinking I'm so behind. And I literally looked around in the class and everyone was doing their work. And I literally felt this moment of like, one, you're in excruciating pain. And two, I looked in the room and I was like, your life is never going to be like any of these other people in your class. And I had a tear and I like cried and the tear went on the paper and it was probably like half you're in pain and half realization that you have a different, what people, that checklist that people do in life is not going to be your life. And I remember I left the class and I started crying and I said, look, I just can't do this. Like my body is not functioning. I can't stay in school. And then I had to leave school. And that was just the start of the loss of things that I didn't get to do like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's tough, man.
Yeah, it was just
You're a
pretty
tough,
scary times. And I
you're a
think,
tough cookie.
and I would spend a lot of time at home.
Yeah.
So because I spent a lot of time at home and everyone was at school, I started, and I was in so much physical pain. It was like not great. And that's when I probably started to research more about what it is I had. And when you have like a really serious condition, never Google it, because what you
Google
will
doctor.
read and the statistics, oh no. It was pretty much death. And I'm thinking, how am I breathing?
Yeah.
That's literally, yeah.
How did you navigate through that? Being constantly seeing that stuff and then being
told it.
Yeah.
I think when you're getting told something so serious, and the thing is like, I couldn't function. My mum, from 15 till I was like even 20 years old, would come in my room at 6 o'clock every morning, put pills in my mouth, so I would swallow them, and then I would then eventually be able to get out of bed. I was like a vegetable. There was no quality to life, and the pain was so severe, I would not wish it on anyone. Like when everyone turned 18, they're going out clubbing. Like, no, I didn't get to do, like, when everyone was, doing things and going to parties and going to the beach, I was at the hospital and, feeling like, fuck, when everyone was graduating at school, I wasn't doing any of that. I got my license later. Everything was a delay. And then there were some things you just wouldn't ever be able to do. I think it was hard because I spent a lot of time at home, so it wasn't good mentally. You pretty much very isolated.
Yeah.
So it wasn't good, and I didn't probably trust myself, to be honest. You have a lot of dark days.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know that, like, since I've known you better, since what would have been maybe 4 years ago?
Probably, I reckon 5 years.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago. And seeing you go into hospital, I think, how many times in the last few years?
I've actually probably gone into the hospital, I think 7 times in the last 5 years.
I think
so since you've really seen it from such a progression.
And just to see, like, someone, go through that and then, like, go into a state of not being able to move from the neck down, and then recover and then go through it again. I mean, like, you said before that when you were 14, they said that, the chances of you being totally disabled, but
it was either you're going to die or you're going to be fully disabled. So that was the greatest fear. Yeah.
But each time you keep breaking through that kind of thing that's been told, which is, why it's so epic and why I wanted to kind of do this in the first place years ago. Not only for awareness, but the belief that you put into yourself, and that you break through that barrier within yourself.
You have to fight. I think from a young age, when you go through such suffering, I think your sense of reality is just completely different. Like, I felt, yes, I didn't have the life of anyone else my age, and I wasn't going to get that. But then I saw such, I think, like, grace and hope, knowing that I saw the world like no one else. And that was the greatest gift. So, like, even when I was young, suffering for the first 10 years, if you had asked me, I would have said, like, I still wouldn't change it. I still would have said, don't put it there. Don't have this be my life, because I learnt the most valuable lessons that people would live a whole life and never know. Yeah. So I definitely saw the simplicity and the greatness, but through suffering.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think that's where you need something to fight for. Yeah. And you do it, I think, for yourself. You do it for the people around you.
Yeah.
and I don't know, like I think like I'm still breathing, and I don't know why. I don't know how many times this is going to keep happening and if I can keep doing it forever. But, that's just kind of, this is in some way God's plan. That's how kind of you have to see it.
Yeah. So I know that each time has been, really challenging for you, and sometimes more than others. Out of all times that you've been in the hospital, or even just in general, what do you think's been the most challenging?
The worst? Okay, I can tell you there's a few. I think, okay, so for the first, how would I say it? The first 10 years were very difficult because the pain was so intense.
Yeah.
But I started to, like, because of my health condition, I was not working, I was not studying, and I looked to find something to do. And then I found my makeup course and I started to do that. It was 2.5 days a week. It was a struggle at the start, but I was like determined to do it. And I ended up, working as a makeup artist for close to 10 years. And then I worked for MAC Cosmetics for about 6 years. And, it was a pretty stressful job. I put all my work and energy and passion into it because I loved what I was doing, because that's something that I learned, like, life is too short to hate what you do. So just put all and everything into it. So that's what I did. And I loved my job. But then it got to a point where I literally was even dreaming, like, you're not going to live doing this. You're not going to last. Like, something's going to happen. And sorry, 1 second.
You've got a bed on spinal rehab. They're going to be ready in half an hour.
Okay, no worries. I can. That is excellent. That is excellent. So in half an hour. So
we'll ring them then. But they said the bed will be ready in half an hour.
Okay, that's perfect. Everything's kind of sorted, so I can do it. Yeah.
Finally.
Thank you. That's excellent.
Isn't it?
Yeah. That's really good. No, thank you. That's okay. Sorry, I'm in the neuro ward and I'm waiting for a bed in spinal for like over a week, like close to 2 weeks. But it's ready in 30 minutes. So
cool.
We can continue.
Yeah, that's cool.
So what was I saying? Yeah. Okay. So
working for MAC for 10 years.
So then I was working, and I just was like dreaming, like, you're not going to be able to do this for a long time. And I then ended up not like long. I had my spinal stroke and I went into the hospital, and I didn't realize, because I did a scan and they said they didn't have a bleed, and my legs were under the blanket and the sheet. And when they did the test, I thought my legs were moving, and my legs and my feet were not moving. So I was thinking, what the fuck? This has not happened before. Like, I had learned to walk over 10 times, but not have movement in the legs for that, like that. So that was really intense, because like I couldn't move my feet and my legs for 5 weeks, and I had a walker for 3 months. I had to resign from my job. So that was hard. And the pain in my legs from that moment, it was just so extreme. I describe it as like your knees being ripped off by a semi-trailer, and it's just like hanging there, and it's like hot lava, burning, bleeding inside.
That is
that was like the groundbreaking. And I had friends that were like, you need to write your story. And that's why I started my blog at that time when I had my stroke, because that's when my life changed. And it was so good that I did, because I documented from the start, and I would have never known that after the stroke, I would have had 3 separate hemorrhages and been quadriplegic twice and paralysed probably 6 times.
Yeah. I think
just in these 5 years.
When you had that spinal stroke and you had to stop working, it was the first time that since I'd known you that I saw you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man.
That's when, and that was difficult. Like, I learned how to walk without moving my feet and my legs, and people were like, oh, she's sweet. And it's like, no, I don't understand. I can't, I started my physiotherapy, training the pool every day for 8 months. and exercise villages twice a week. Like, it was intense training. Like, but if I hadn't of resigned from my job, focused on my health, then when I became quadriplegic for the first time, I had a motor chair and I would have never recovered. It's because I trained for that year and a half that my body was strong, and I had learned about neuroplasticity and how your body can heal and how you can create new messages. So if my body had not had any like muscle tone or any like if I wasn't healthy and taking care of myself, I would have definitely been quadriplegic in a motor chair, not much life, and that would have been 27. So
Wow.
You're
a weapon, mate.
I'm a weapon. I don't know. It's just, I don't even believe it. It's my life, and I don't even believe that this has happened.
Like, that's the thing. Like I was saying before, it's like you defy odds, and that the willpower that you have is incredible to keep pushing through, and you've trained yourself, and the mental kind of resilience that you've created as well is incredible.
Thanks.
When you were talking about the pain, so when you're out of hospital and like you haven't had to, like, say it's, when was the last time you were in hospital before this?
This was probably, I had like a really good run because I was normally in hospital like once or twice a year. This has been like, I think it was probably close to a year and a half not being in the hospital. I should have come into hospital on February, but this February in 2020, but I didn't because I was stubborn. So I didn't. But then when this happened, I was like, no, you need to. But I had a pretty good run. What was the other question? What was the question again?
What's the pain like on an everyday basis for you? Like, are you in pain on an everyday basis?
So there's definitely pain. I would suffer from headaches, migraines, neck pain, leg pain. I would train like once, 2 times, 3 times just so I could, in a day, so I could actually walk and do things. So if I didn't train, I wasn't able to function and be social. And I wouldn't be able to like move and have, so like I would train in the pool, I would go for coastal walks. And I think like the pain was there whether you did nothing or whether you did a lot. But there was like probably in a day you'd have 5 hours where you could be proactive. But any more you would be crushing and the pain would be more intense. But so it's just like, definitely it's like I get now like nerve fatigue, heaviness, just moving my arms, moving my legs is hard work. Like trying to just do the basic tiny things is like very hard on the body. Like my heart rate is always like as if I've run a 20-kilometer race. And that's just like because just doing like something like this is so much work.
Do you know what your normal heart rate is? This is just
like if you do my blood pressure and my oxygen, it will come back like I'm healthy, which is good. But the pulse is really, really fast. I don't know the number, but I know that it's always fast.
Wow. So other than the pain, like what's things like for you on a regular day when you're not in hospital?
Look, you spend like, now with COVID, there's so many people that are home and they're not able to do things and they don't know how to deal. And I'm like, that's been my life for so long. And I have like anything that I've ever, like things that you want to do, the list of what you should do or be doing, I didn't have that. So I had to like, I've had these no's and these restrictions for 16 years. And I've spent the last 5 years, and you can isolate yourself, but it's very different. Like I can't leave the house because I'm not well enough to leave the house. So there will be days or weeks that I'm not able to leave and I can barely walk to the bathroom, walk to the kitchen, get out of bed. Every day to get out of bed is hard work. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot mentally and physically on your body, but obviously you just feel like, fuck, I just want to function like everyone else. But then you're also mindful of the energy that you do have. It's like, who do you spend it with? And what do you spend yourself, like, what do you do when you're well? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can really evaluate what's important.
Wow. So you've been on this journey now for what, 16 years?
16 years.
I
Yeah,
know,
6 to 16.
I know we're talking about like the roughest point in like when you've had to come to hospital, but what do you feel has been the roughest component of this whole thing as a whole entire component?
Look, I think the first time that I was quadriplegic and I thought, shit, they told me this would happen, and they told me, like, you know, are you going to be resuscitated? And for 11 years I had already said in my mind, okay, no, you don't want to be a vegetable, so don't resuscitate. And I didn't think that I would be able to speak and not move. So I thought, oh my God, I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm going to suffocate. Like, am I going to feel like I'm drowning? Like, you know, and for a 27-year-old to have to say, don't resuscitate, and then you know that you can't move from the neck down, and that your chest is going to just collapse and you're not going to be able to breathe on your own, and they can't save you. There's actually nothing that they can do other than resuscitate you and hope that then if you breathe, but then your body doesn't move, or you can, like, you lose function of main organs, brain damage. It's just the risk, you just don't know, right? So I had to, like, that was very hard and emotional, because that was like the fear that you had. I had to face that fear that day and that moment, you know, when I was in a motor chair for 3 weeks. Like, I was thinking, shit, like, is this what your life's going to be? Then a year and a half to recover from that, I definitely had post-traumatic stress and really bad anxiety and depression, and I didn't really go out a lot, and it was like a lot for me to go out for a good 2 years. And like a year and a half after that bleed that I was quadriplegic, I had my third hemorrhage, which I was quadriplegic again. And the lady then asked you the same question, so do you want to be resuscitated? And I was like thinking, fuck, the last time I was like, no, but then is that like quitting? Because then you survived and walked. So am I giving up if I say don't resuscitate now, or do resuscitate, or, you know what I mean? And I was like thinking, shit. So there's definitely moments where I faced the fear, and then I was like thinking, what's next after this? Like, you know what I mean? So, because it was, do you like, mean like this? You don't think you can keep healing, but then you don't want to give up if I've managed to be paralyzed and lose movement so many times, and keep going and trying to regain it and regain some type of quality of life, even in that situation.
Yeah. Full power, girl.
You know, hard work.
It's
not easy.
No, it's like, not at all. It sounds, no. I don't think anyone can put themselves in the shoes that you've been in or are in and actually feel all those things that you would have to feel. I mean, you know, I know that fear is a big thing for a lot of people around a lot of things, but when you're talking about something that's related to what you've been through, that's a whole nother dimension of fears.
It's a whole...
And then facing them.
It's the ultimate.
Yeah, and being, I guess, forced to face them as well. And then there's a new layer of fear that you're going through as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the process like when you have to go back to hospital? Like, I remember when like a couple of years ago, I remember there was times where Laura would come and take you to hospital. Or you'd call up someone and be like, hey, look,
called
this
a
is
friend
happening.
to take me, like, you need to take me to the hospital. I feel like a shutdown. My body starts to shut down, and then I feel like I can't move and I can't breathe, and lots of the times I will not be even able to speak, and I would have like a thing where I'd use my thumb, so I wouldn't be able to move or speak. So you would see me and think she's passed out, like she can't hear me, I'm not conscious. But if you ask me a question, I would say like, this is yes and this way is no. So the closest people to me knew that's how I was going to communicate if something happened and I wasn't able to speak. But as I've grown up and gotten older, like, you know, you get very anxious, feeling these weird numbness, tingling, stiffness, not able to move. You would freak out and then you can easily have a stroke. So I've had, you know, different situations where ambulances have to come to my house, like broke into my house because I'd passed out or and on the floor and not able to speak and move. And other times where I've had an ambulance in my house and I'm like like shaking, and I've got pins and needles in my face, and they're saying like, if you don't come, if you don't relax, you're going to have a stroke. Like but who relaxes when you're feeling all this stuff in what your body's doing? So as I've gotten older, like I can talk through everything. So as I'm feeling things, as I'm losing movement, as my body's shutting down, as I'm having like seizures in different limbs, I'm able to tell the paramedic this is what's happening, and then they can visually see what's happening. So yeah, but I think because it's so rare, like I have to speak up and I have to help explain what I'm feeling. Otherwise they won't be able to treat me the best way possible. Yeah, because it's just like you wouldn't understand. Yep.
Mate, that's how many times do you reckon that not only have you gone to hospital, but there's been ambulances and there's been instances where you were, or like a scare was happening?
Oh God, in Jesus, like I'd be home on a weekly basis, at least maybe once a month, and I'd be home and I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to wake up in the morning. Yeah. Like, so I would just like be in that much pain, and I would literally think, I don't think I'm going to wake up tomorrow. So yeah, and that would be it very, very frequently, very, like, I'm not going to say daily, but I would probably say weekly.
Yeah. Like
you feel like that.
Wow. What have been the options for healing?
So like the best surgeons from when I was 14 would not operate. So they will not operate on it because they said you die on the table. They have said, well, there was really nothing. There was no options. That's why they had always said like, this thing is just going to kill you. And then when I was about 17, my neurosurgeon, he would travel and use my case study as a big case study to help to speak to other neurosurgeons and see like if there was anything that they could offer to help. And in San Francisco, they had cyberknife radiation. So because my situation, I was like 17, young with the worst case. The treatment wasn't available in Australia. And, you know, this could help save my life. We applied for a government grant, and the government funded me $250,000 to take me to San Francisco to Stanford University. And I did the radiation. I was there for 3 weeks. And they wanted half of the AVM to be reduced in size, and it was going to take up to 2 years for it to work. But about close to 2.5 years after I did radiation, I did an angiogram to see if the radiation had worked, and it was only like 10%, and it was mostly just like blood vessels, and they can kind of come back. So it wasn't successful. And after I had my stroke, I was thinking, because I'd always thought I'm going to go and do a second round of treatment, but I just was focusing on work and being like trying to have some independence. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And applying for a second government grant was very intense and stressful, and it's not easy to get money in general normally. Now times are different. If you want money, you can probably get money. So I had different goals. Just my goal was living, so I didn't focus on getting a second round of treatment. And then when I had my stroke, I had never been that 12 months after, I had never been in so much pain in the 10 years. So then I ended up calling the specialists and oncologists in Stanford University. I asked them 16 questions and in an email, and then they called me, and I went through these really mature questions, and the answers that I got was like my quality of life was not going to improve. I wouldn't be able to get off my medication, my pain and numbness and weakness, and any damage was not going to be able to be repaired. The list of things that I wasn't able to do, I would still not be able to do those things. And I would still be at risk of having a hemorrhage. So at that time I was like, this could put me in more pain, and I couldn't possibly imagine being in more pain than what I was. So I was like, this is just not an option. I can't do it now. And I had to really tell people that were looking in their minds that that's going to save Marissa. And they had to realize and be like, no, that's not going to save Marissa. And then after that, when I was quadriplegic the first time, I did an angiogram about 6 months later, and they said that I had numerous aneurysms inside the AVM. And I've had numerous neurosurgeons say in the years, you do not do more radiation because your spinal cord cannot handle any more radiation. And also no one will operate on it then and now. Because they said, like, so I don't even have, no surgeon will even do it because they're saying you'll die on the table. Even in the last year, I looked into, because I was looking to see like what else I can do. And when I was doing research, I found that CyberKnife is now in Perth in Australia. So it is available to Australians. So it's radiation that's, you don't have to get cut open. It's not so invasive like other radiation. So it's really good on complicated cases. So it's really good that it's been in Australia, I think, for about 5 years. And I spoke to oncologists here in Sydney, and I spoke to them there, and even the CyberKnife people in Australia, plus other neurosurgeons, even my neurologist and an oncologist that I saw here, all said that you shouldn't do radiation, and they won't even do it because I've had such high doses of radiation over in those 3 weeks. I had 3 days back to back, really high doses, 1 hour sessions each. And the spinal cord hardens when you do radiation. So if I was to do more, it would just, how I've been able to heal is I have such a connection to my body. I can feel everything and I know what's happening. I can explain. I can have that connection where I can learn to relearn and learn again and again and again. But if you do, because it's on the base of the brain, it's like where your nerves connect to everything. So with radiation, it kills blood vessels and nerves. So you break down the connection. Now, if I was to do more radiation, it would cut through that connection. And because absolutely the AVM would still be there. Unless 100% is removed, nothing is worth doing. Because the chances are you're still going to have a bleed. So if you go and do more radiation and there's still 20, 30, 10%, chances are you could still die.
Yeah.
So, and it's not going to improve my quality of life. And they even said to me again, everything that I can't do, run, jog, like lift things, increase your heart rate, anything adventurous or adrenaline, there's all these things that you're not allowed to do. You still would not be able to do that even if you do it. So yeah, so I think with healing, something that I have done for about 1.5 years is, so obviously in the last 5 years, it's really being outside, it's mentally, it's mindfulness, it's doing, being active and training, strengthening your body, working hard and focusing on what you can do and not what you can't do. That's first of all. But then, like, second of all, I was so desperate for a break, because I have tried, I take over 30 pills every day. I've tried chemical infusions like 3 times. That's with lignocaine, ketamine, like really strong, intense stuff. And I tried a mixture of cocktails of medications that then didn't work, and then I would try something else. And I'm happy with the meds that I'm on now, but it's still like 30 tablets a day. And I, about a year and a half ago, after the second time I was quadriplegic, I was so desperate, and I had spoken to my neurologist earlier. And I was like, I heard that Botox is really good for migraines and headaches. I was like, do you do it? And he said he hadn't done it. And then I saw him, like, when I got out of hospital, and he had done his research, and he said, because he just knew I was so desperate after the second time I was quadriplegic, and he literally was like, look, I know a neurologist that does Botox. So I started doing that every 3 months for over probably about a year and a half, and it gave me like a new quality of life. So that constant pain that I had every second is now not every second.
Yeah.
So sometimes, things have to go really bad for you to be on a different path and change direction, but then you might come across something new and a different way to, like, something else to help you. So that was one, just if you're thinking about like type.
So
nothing's going to remove this.
Yeah. Do they?
But yeah,
do
it's
they
just
inject,
kind of improve your quality of life. So yeah, they do it like here, in my head, like the sides, the neck, the back of the neck, and the back of the shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of, like 2 weeks before Botox and 2 weeks after Botox, I can feel things, kind of how I normally would. So in the 3 months, maybe you have 2 good months and 1 month that is not great. But it's kind of like, I used to have migraines every single week and headaches every second. So it kind of, instead of having, like, it went from like 30 in 3 months to like slowly less and less. So it's probably like about 5 to 10.
Yeah.
In 3 months. So it's a big difference.
When you've gone through the pain and these processes, like, how do you go through this point where you're like, I've done this before, like I can, I can do it again. Let's or how does that kind of go?
So I think, yeah, you do. You think, okay, I've done this before, I can do it again. And then you do it again. Then you say, I've done this before, I can do it again. You do it again. Then you say, I've done this before, I'll do it again. Do it again.
And then it's 10,000 million times later.
I've done it about 7 times in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know, to be honest, like, can I do it again? I don't know. Like, if I'm real as, can I keep doing it again? It's been 16 years. I've been suffering for 16 years. I don't want to suffer. And I just turned 30, and I don't, like, what I'm dealing with is, doesn't make sense, but it's just what it is. Yeah. So can I do it for another 16 years? Probably not. Can I do it for another 3 years, 5 years? I don't know. Because this is probably going to keep happening, and it's only gotten worse and worse. And I can feel it. I'm not, like, I know what my body is doing, and I know how it's suffered even in the last 5 years. Yeah. So I'm realistic. So I'm not giving up, but it takes a lot. To keep being resilient and keep pushing and keep focusing on, you're going to get better. You're going to get better. Because, like, if I'm totally honest, like, better is walking, seeing your friends, seeing your family. I think something that's kind of like, I don't have a significant other or kids. I don't have my own family. So I think when you have your own family, you think, I'm fighting for the love of my life. I'm fighting for my children to keep going. But, like, I think you know, in the last 5 years, I'm fighting for my friends, I'm fighting for my family. That keeps that spirit to keep going. But you know, for me, I'm like, but what am I like? I'm suffering, you know, so I'm suffering and I'm one person. And, you know, I don't think my friends and family want to keep seeing me suffer. And I think that the as time goes on, and let's say like the quality of life that I'm going to have, you know, you feel real sadness in that, knowing that you're not going to have those things. Changes your perspective on what you're fighting for. Like, I'm fighting to breathe, I'm fighting to move, but who is it for? Like, and I think the only thing that keeps you going is you have to have, especially in this situation, like this is hospital 19, and I've learned how to walk 17 times, and I've been paralysed 7 times. So you think, fuck, like, can't keep doing it, you know?
Yeah.
But then I think I think the only thing that you find in healing is, one, it was me doing the work. I was the only way I was going to heal. I had to do the work. I had to find what I could do, find what I couldn't do, find what I needed to do, and I had to do the work regardless. That was 16 years. But then now, like, I think like the way that my body is functioning, there's so much I can do to get better, and there's a reality in that. And I think the only thing you can do is like have hope and faith that God is keeping you here, breathing and living this life for 16 years, because he could have easily taken it from me a long time ago, and I'm still here. So I have to, I don't know, keep sharing and keep doing it, because as long as I can speak, I think there's hope in that I can help other people. And as I've always said, if it helps one person, it's I don't care if I suffer, because I've helped people.
Yeah. Might get you on that.
But it is hard. I'm not going to, people say, oh, you're a superwoman, you like, it's like this, you know, and it's not real. Like, I don't even, if someone told me my life, I would have been like, that's bullshit. Like, I don't even believe it. And I've lived it. And I don't even believe it. I don't even know how I've done it. It's just persistence. It's persistence. You have to be consistent. You have to work hard, because in life, whatever you want, you have to work at it. Yeah. And I just have to work for the basic principles. It's breathing and it's moving and it's just functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that you've just answered my question that I wanted to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because it might just allow you to open up into other realms. What do you feel that you've learned about yourself and or life during this period that you've gone through in the last 16 years?
I think I've learned that I'm persistent. I think I've learned that I'm determined.
Yeah.
I think I've learned that I'm positive, but I'm also vulnerable. And I think when you're vulnerable, that's the ultimate strength, because you are so real. And I think people are just not real. They have masks on. They're just not authentic. They focus on bullshit, like things that just are not relevant. And so I think, I think I've learned the value of life, the value of who I want in my life, and me as a person. I've learned I'm strong. I've learned that I'm positive, but I also know that it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be vulnerable, and I don't have to hide that, because you know, that's the realness. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, I'm superwoman, I've done this and I feel fine and I'm so happy and I'm so positive, because that isn't truthful. Like that is, that's not the case.
I completely resonate with you on that, because it's just something I've realized, like, since, you know, I started down my journey years and years ago. And it was, you know, becoming that real and authentic, vulnerable person is a massive strength. But I mean, I guess, you know, in society as a whole, like as a male, we're seen to have to be tough, or, you know, you've got to be that macho kind of guy. But realistically, a lot of those guys are holding on to all this stuff and letting it all build up. And then what happens? It doesn't help in the long term. You know,
absolutely.
Whether it's, you know, having these bad addictions or just, you know, bad controlling behavior issues. And that was, I mean, that's been a hard journey. It's a hard journey for anyone to go through, really, because it's about, you know, taking off those masks and being that real.
Too many people are hiding, and they've got addictions and they do bad things that they know are bad for them, but that's just, you know, bad habits. I've chosen to try to make good choices. I don't make the best choices all the time. For many years I was like, YOLO, screw this, I'm going to do life because life's too short. And I've learned, you know, I've got to be a bit realistic, a bit responsible, because I want to be breathing, and I know, okay, when I've done that, this has happened, don't do it, you know. But too many people are not. They're hiding and they're running and they're escaping from reality. And you can't live like that, because you're slowly drowning, and you need to break that eventually. And it will happen in time. Like, it's not going to happen straight away. It's going to, it has to flow in the right timing.
That's where that persistence comes in.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. We have to intermission, and we will continue this in the spinal ward.
Cool.
Okay?
Cool.
Okay.
I'll stop it.
Will be live momentarily. Yes, just pause, and then we'll continue
All
on.
All right.
Okay?
All
okay,
right.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, Marissa, now we're back, and you've changed out of the neuro ward to the spinal ward?
Yeah, so I've been in the neuro ward for nearly 2 weeks, and I've been waiting for a bed in the spinal rehab, and now I'm settled and feeling good. So I've got my own room with walls, and it's very exciting. Walls are not free. Like, walls are in a hospital, they're excellent. And a door, and my own bathroom, so that's even better.
So this is like the kind of VIP.
Oh wait, I think there's a nurse coming. Yep, you can come in. Sorry, it's a nurse.
Go for it.
Oh, medicine. Oh, okay.
Cool. Getting a lot of little bumps and interruptions, but it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, this is the world of the hospital. Someone's always like, someone has to come in. They have to move you, do this.
Have some pills. Have a needle. Move your bed.
Yeah, there's lots happening. You might not have visitors, but you definitely have people to talk to every second if you want.
What was I going to ask you? Now,
you're going to ask me a question. Yes,
I was going to ask you a question. So, being that it's been the pandemic issue in this whole period that you've been in this time, how's it been different?
Okay, interesting question. Okay, so like normally I would have lots of visitors. And like, I think always I'll just like put a side note. Okay, so when you come into the hospital and people know, sometimes I don't tell people that I'm in the hospital. Maybe I say when I'm out, or it's because it's too stressful, like the hospital was too overwhelming, it wasn't the right time to just share that I was in the hospital or something like that. The other times, like, you know, I think at the start, lots of people come and see you. You get a lot of messages, you get a lot of calls. Then you don't always get a lot. Like, weekends are slow. You don't always get a lot of visitors. So there's highs and lows when you're a patient, I guess. But this, like, during the pandemic, when people did find out that I was in the hospital, I feel like I got like from the post that I put, I like spoke to, no joke, I probably spoke to in a week over 200 people from different messages, people that were not just commenting on the post, but sending me messages, sending me on privately, on text, on Messenger, on Insta, on everything. And some people that have, you know, been in your lives forever, family, friends, people you went to school with, people I've known over the last 10 years or so. And it's just like, you know, in this situation, it's very easy to isolate. And obviously, like, this is weird. You don't have people coming. Like, it's like the little things. Like, when you can't move, like, you want someone touch and smell. And, like, you know, I can't go outside. So you know, you don't have any sense of nature. Like, I haven't been out in the sun in 2 weeks. And that, like, kills my life. You know, I felt the sun through the window, but not outside.
Yeah.
You don't have visitors where they can take you out in the wheelchair, or ones that, you know, will bring you food from outside of the hospital, or like, so you're stuck eating hospital food, you're stuck. Like, the interaction is different. I've tried to do a lot of FaceTime. Like, it's my niece's birthday. She just turned 5, and, like, oh my God, such a big birthday. And we just did FaceTime while she cut the cake. And, like, she literally, like, everyone held the phone for, like, for about 30 minutes. And I was like a yo-yo. Sorry. Yeah. Just the battery sign. So I like, she was holding the phone, like, while I was on FaceTime, and I was getting dizzy. So it's like, you can keep that interaction, like, even on a special day like today, which I'm not able to be there at the parties and stuff over the weekend because I'm going to be here. So I think it's important to try to keep connected. But it is different because normally you would have people that would come and break up the hospital stay. So you can feel a little bit lonely. But, like, I think, you know, in my situation, like, so many hospital admissions, like, if you come and see me, like, I'm very happy and positive, but it's not all like that. So there, you know, when you're alone, you feel the pain more. Yeah. So you're not, so you have to try to keep distracted, because, like, normally if you have a visit, like, at the start, I had, like, a couple visits just before they did the lockdown. So I came in on the Wednesday, and Friday was lockdown. So I had, like, 2 days where I had only 2 people come, but no, 3 people come over, like, these 2.5 days. And it just breaks it up because they distract you. They give you massages. So, like, you know, when your legs are sore and your arms are sore, do you know what I mean? So I had about five visitors, but it's just, like, those little things, like, when you can't move, like, I'm really patient. Like, the nurses are really busy. So I don't go and say, oh, can you please, like, rub this cream on my legs before you put these special stockings on, like, because it's, like, little things, like, they'll just put the cream on, but it's not like when your family or your friends, like, they really help you, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I honestly, I think I would have gone crazy. Like, I can hold my, thank God I can hold the phone, and I can use my hands, and from the elbows to the hands I can use. So if I can feed myself and do some things independently, but if I couldn't do that, I would have literally gone crazy not having visitors come. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit, or very different to the other times that you've.
Yeah, it is different. It is different. I feel for new patients. But, you know, I like, that aren't used to coming into the hospital. It's but, you know, out of all, I don't want to say this and jinx it, but this is hospital 17. Wait, what is it? No, sorry. This is hospital 19. And I just think everyone's really nice. And I don't know, like, I feel like I've been in a hotel. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, the nurses, the doctors, the neurosurgeons, the spine people, every single person, the porters, like, every single person is so nice, like, and, like, extra treatment. Yeah. So I feel like, I don't know if the pandemic has made people, like, I've spoken to the nurses. I'm like, is it, like, less stressful? Like, is there less patients that you're dealing with? Because I feel like everyone's so happy, and they're like, no, like, they've changed a few things, and I think it's improved it from what I see.
That's cool.
So the environment here has been good. If the environment wasn't, I probably would have been quite anxious and felt a bit more trapped. You know what I mean? So, but I think overall, like, everyone has been really lovely. I've been treated really well the last 2 weeks, and I think that's a massive plus.
Yeah, definitely a plus.
Yeah,
because I remember there was,
like, I see a lot of the same people. Like, I know the cleaners, I know it's really funny. Like, I know the ladies that bring the water, I know the ladies that the cleaners, I know the porters, I know the people in different imaging that do ultrasounds or MRI scans. Like, I know them because I've been, like, here for 16 years coming.
Yeah.
It's just really crazy. Like yeah. So that's like kind of like familiar faces. So it's like not visitors, but yeah.
I remember when you used to have like little, I don't want to say tiffs with the like some of the nurses and doctors, just because like
it's and I have, and normally like I will be so blatantly honest, I've had really big issues. I see the mistreatment, I've seen the mistakes, and it shouldn't happen. Because respect and clear communication and basic rights should always be, always be top priority. But it's just like any work, like people read things in a book and they just go by the book. My situation is very rare, so my stories never changed, and how I explain anything for this whole 16 years has never changed. And at the start I would always be like, kind of like, you're crazy, like you don't know what you're talking about, like, and it's really crazy because this time everyone has, like, I even hear it how they talk about my case amongst each other, how they read up my report, how everything is documented, everything that I say and my whole experience is so respected, and they're all coming with compassion. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, oh my God, how have you done this for so long? Oh my God, like you're back again. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm just like, wow, this is like such a, like how I've felt and what I've said has really in the past kind of been swept under the rug, and you kind of be treated like you're kind of crazy. And this, everyone's, extra understanding. So I think it's
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's good to see. It's finally out of 16 years to finally feel heard.
Yeah.
That's, I think, heard, like listened to, and they have patience and they want to hear it, and they like curious, and I don't know. It's a whole different experience. I don't know what it is, but it's so far been really good, and I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
But Chris, yes, you have definitely known, like there is times where, sorry.
It's okay.
I just accidentally got out of it. Yeah, but Chris, that there has been times where I've had to say something because, like, when you can't move, but you can speak, you're going to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full power, man. That's good. I'm glad it's been more of like a hotel experience this time.
Yeah. And I would never ever talk about a hospital as being a hotel, but the first time ever. But so far it's okay.
One more probably tough question, and then we'll move on to some powerful kind of last little ways to close it off. So how has this whole process been for your family?
I think
if
for my so look, I think for my family it's hard. At the start, like, I was like, it's fine, like just no visitors, let me just focus on what I need to focus on. There's nothing that they can really do, like, and you could only have like one visitor. It was just too much. So I think it's hard for them. I think the real, like, in all relationships you have issues, you know what I mean? Okay. It's difficult being the patient. It's difficult being the carer. I only know what it's like to be the patient, and it's relationships are always going to be tough when you need to depend, or when you don't, like, I come off very strong, but like sometimes, like, there is situations and you need to depend on people, and it's very difficult to always, like, you kind of, your family and your friends, you want their support, they want to support you, but it can interfere with some relationships. Does that make sense? If there's some things that you need extra help with, when you have a type of disability or a mental medical condition, so it makes it difficult in relationships. I think it's hard for them because they would want to be here. I think they also have courage because they know that I have courage and I have strength to, and the fact that I can communicate with them through the phone is also a positive. And I think because I've done it so many times that they're confident. But I know when I have shared messages that have not been positive news, like things that, people have said to me, and I'm just like thinking, Farah, I'm by myself with no visitors, and I have to now tell my family what is being said. Do you know what I mean? So I know when they probably share the news, they've probably cried, and it's hard for them. Yeah, it's hard. Like, look, I'm 30 years old too, so it's not, I'm not a kid anymore. So, you know, and this is just kind of like, this is just how my life is. So I have to focus and get on with it. And I think, I think like my family has just seen it's hard for them, but I think because they've seen me go through it so many times, that they know, okay, she's okay, and she can communicate when she's ready to talk and when she needs to say anything, or, you know, and they keep offering their support, that genuine support, which is all you need.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I think it is difficult on both sides. Like, I don't know, I think being a carer or taking, you know, it's like you really, really love someone. Like, if something happened to my sisters or my niece and my nephew, I would just die. Like, I couldn't deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that, like, my family and friends, when something happens to me, they really all react in a different way. Like, people take, it's like trauma, they take it and they don't know how to react. Some people need to see me every day. Some people will message me every day. Some people can't message because they don't know the right thing to say, and they worry they're going to say the wrong thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of people doubt. They don't know if they'll say something and upset me, or, you know, a lot of people, like, they just want to joke around, and I'm all for it. I like to joke and we laugh about things, because if you don't laugh, you cry. But I think it's just a matter of, it's hard for people to, number one, deal with a loved one that is struggling and they feel already hopeless, and then they feel even more helpless, like when they can't be there, and they just try to offer support in other ways. So, you know, just messages or reaching out, calling me, and just how they speak and stuff like that, you know. So you don't feel alone. But I do think, like, in this hospital experience, I felt the love and support from afar.
Yeah.
Even though there's no one here. So it's quite interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I think, does that answer your question?
It answers more than the question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. What do you want for the future? What do you hope for or want for the future? I know that's probably a tough one
This
too.
is a big question. No. Okay, so this is something that probably, like, I don't know if people... Okay, let me think, because I'm not always open about this, and I only say it to some, but not many people.
You don't have to share it if you don't want.
No, I'm happy to share, because I think it's important. I don't want to... In suffering, you gain. There is positive out of it. So if this is my life and I continue to be in pain and go through this, I'll still take it. Like, I'm not going to give up. So I just want a better quality of life. The way that I feel my body is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk. So, you know, it's like, you know, it's just a basic dream to be able to move, to be able to walk, to be able to feel independent. I think they're obviously big things. I you know, like, I'm just waiting to get out, be with nature. I'm thinking, oh my God, I just want to go in the water. But if I can't move my legs, I can't swim. There's little things. So you're sitting here thinking, fuck, I want to go on my coastal walks. I want to go swimming in the rock pool, and you know, and there's things that, like, if I can't do this, you know, it's just different, you know. But then, like, big things that you obviously want is, I think it's hard. Like, I'm 30. I live at home with my family, and it's not like I'm not in a relationship. I'm not, I don't have kids or anything like that. And I think my health situation, it really affects relationships. I'll be straight, like, no guy is like, oh yes, and you know what I mean? Like, it's a very difficult thing. Like, it's people that want to settle down and have a family. And, you know, for a long time, I felt like I didn't have something to offer, and I didn't have a lot of self-worth, because I felt like it's like you're selling yourself, and you're like, oh, so you know, every guy's like, oh, you know, I want to get married and have kids. And then you're like, okay, by the way, I have this, this, this. And they're going to shit themselves and run in the whole opposite direction. Okay. So ultimately, I think for the future, I want a healthy relationship, someone that understands, that's not scared, that is brave like me, and that gives me courage and support. Because I think, like, you know, in this time, like, you can only have one visitor. And, you know, if I had a boyfriend or a husband, that could have been my one visitor. And I loved that. I would have loved that support. You know what I mean? But I don't have that. So there is a little bit of that, you know, you're just fighting for you, like for my life and my friends and my family. But so I think obviously I would love a relationship. You know, I don't, like, kids and stuff aren't on the cards because, well, it's very dangerous for me to have kids. I think if I had the right person, you know, the most amazing person, the most amazing guy, who knows, maybe my mentality of things, of how you could do things in the future, like, you know, but for now it would be a selfish thing to do. So I think realistically, I think what I just want, you know, get out of the hospital, try to be as independent as possible. I want to live on my own, to feel like, you know, other 30-year-olds. I want a healthy relationship with a significant other that is going to share this roller coaster with me. And just, like, live life and be around all my niece and my nephew and all my friends that have their kids, because they're like I'm Auntie Rissa, and I want to be around, and I want them to always talk about me to their kids, my friends, and say, look, that was your Auntie Rissa. So, so I feel like I have too much to do and too much to teach. So I just, you know, hope I'm around to keep doing that, I think. But like the basic things, like, I'm just hoping, you know, that I will be able to walk, and I'll be able to swim and do just the simple things, like, that people don't think about doing.
Which is a perfect way to transition into my next question, which is, what message do you want to give others out there? I know this is a big one. This is, you know, like, you reading your posts and stuff, or I think one of your big posts, which is when I think I found out you were in hospital this time. I think your dad posted what you said. And man, just the way you spoke, I was like, you've got, and over the years, like, just your message over the years, you know, and I know for myself, back 4 years ago, you know, when you're in hospital and I was with Laura, and then I'd be having a rough day, and I'd feel really guilty because I'm like, you know, Marissa goes to hospital and stuff like that every once in a while, and here I am just complaining about a bad day that I have, like, and I used to feel so guilty for it. So, you know, for like minor things, which, you know, I mean, I don't want to say that anyone on the planet's issues are more or less or anything like that. But at the same time, like, when you've got a friend that's dealing with something that's way above your scope, then of course you can kind of go into that point. So
absolutely.
What's
my message?
Yeah, what's your message?
Okay.
What do you want to share? What do you want to, you know?
Okay, I'm trying to think.
Your message for people going through life.
I think, like you can probably see in my posts, like, I still don't complain, and I'm not complaining. Like, I'm still grateful for just these little things, you know? And I think we're programmed to complain. I think some people are positive, but, you know, we have bad days, and that's human nature. Like, we're going to have bad days. I've learned, I think some people are a bit more emotional, a little bit harder to, like, little things are really big things. And that's okay. You know, we can only all improve and grow. And as long as we're aware of who we are only responsible for yourself. So it's like, we're not perfect. So don't try to be perfect. If you're having a bad day and you need to be home and you need to cry, that's totally fine. If you need to isolate because that's what you feel like you need to do, or if you want to go out and be social and that's how you heal, do whatever is right. I think, yeah, like I think when people do come see me in the hospital, and like what you've said, you know, people leave thinking, fuck, Marissa can't touch her face. Marissa can't do this. She can't feed herself. Like, you know, itch her eye, rub her eye, like I can't move anything. And they think it breaks their hearts, and they think, oh my God, like, you know, we're complaining about work, we're complaining about lifestyle, like little like lifestyle and things like life problems, which we all have, you know. And then they walk away and they think, fuck, like she's still there laughing and smiling and talking to us and so happy and positive. So what do we have to complain about? You know what I mean? And like, I have people, they come to me, they tell me about the outside world, and they tell me their problems, and we talk and gossip, and I help them, and they distract me. And I like that. I don't want, you know, that's totally fine. I love that side of people coming to see me, and it's like a little gossip and stuff. And, you know, they can tell me their issues and I still hear it and help them. That's what I want to do. I want to help. But I think, like, overall as a message, I think you just need to, time is not a guarantee. I'm sick. I was, you know, sent on like pretty much a death sentence, but I'm still breathing for 16 years. But some things happen suddenly and you would have no idea. Like, you know, people commit suicide, people die in an accident, and you think, fuck, if only I knew that person was struggling, or if only I knew that was the last conversation I was going to have, I would have like not like had an argument with that person or done this. Do you know what I mean? Because life is too short, and you don't have to be sick to die, because everyone dies. You know what I mean? So definitely don't take relationships for granted. Spend your time on people that make you happy and that bring the most and best out of you. And just know that you're not perfect. You're not supposed to be perfect. Your imperfections are totally fine, and they make you unique. And the real people that love you and want to be around you will go to that uniqueness and say that person's special. Not, it's like we live in a world where everyone wants to look the same and dress the same and do this. It's like, no, like, you're just following this expectation of what you're told. Like, you need to have all this done. This is your checklist. Look, my checklist was cut away from me from a very young age. And I learned from 14, 15, that you don't have that checklist. That's not going to be your life. And I think too many people in, you know, we're in our 30s, people are chasing this checklist. If you ultimately want that in life, go for it. Don't settle for anything. For the person, like, I'm single, but at the same time, I still, everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants a healthy relationship. And I won't settle for someone that doesn't have substance, that doesn't intrigue me, that doesn't bring the best out of me, and someone that won't be that perfect companion. Because you should be able to do you. That person should be able to do them. Like, as in, you don't have to be in each other's pockets. Like, you're each your own person, and you should bring the best out of each other. And have that support to each other. Do you know what I mean? So I think
it's like you're both on the same highway, but you're in separate lanes.
Exactly. You should be able to see like each other's friends and each other's family, and whatever I want to do, I should be able to do. Whatever that person wants to do, they should be able to do it. You know what I mean? And then you come together and you start your day right and you end your day right. Pretty much. That's how I see it. But don't settle. Don't settle for a bad relationship. Don't settle for a bad job. Don't settle for any unhappiness, because time is not a guarantee, and you don't have to be sick to die, because everyone dies. So, you know, that's pretty much, I think, I'm positive, but I'm also, sorry, 1 second. It's okay. Sorry. It's just because the battery is dying, but it's still, I still have battery, so it's fine.
Cool.
I just think, be happy, because life's too short not to be happy. But if you're sad, you can be sad, because we all cry, and that's fine. Like, everything is healing.
It's part of being human.
Yeah. I think something that's important to probably say is, like, you know, I think in life, people are going to tell you the worst case scenario. You're going to feel like, regardless in whatever situation and how you handle things, you're going to think you're in the worst case scenario, and you're going to think this is the end of the world. Like, what they're saying to me, what I'm feeling, everything is just the end of the world. And you're going to get in life lots of roadblocks and like brick walls in your face.
Yeah.
And I think just something that I've learned in whatever situation is you are responsible for yourself. So keep working hard to find the solution or learn how to heal. And in the end, if no one else can help you, you can heal yourself.
Yep.
So don't think that, no one has offered, like, there's not much that people can do to help my situation. If I'm going to improve myself, I have to put the work in. I have to fight for it on more levels than you would even know. Do you know what I mean? So I think if you want to get yourself out of a bad situation, you have to do it. You're responsible for yourself.
You have to take the action yourself.
Take the action. If you want to turn the corner or find a new road, it is possible, and nothing is impossible, because I've proven that you can tell the impossible to fuck off and you can do it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, pretty much it. Just don't give up, because you're going to get knocked down in life in any situation, and you can't stay down.
Yeah.
Because you just can't. Don't do it. You just can't. Bottom line, don't do it. Never give up.
Never give up. Never surrender. I think that's from Toy Story.
I love it.
Marissa, where can people find you or support you?
Okay, look, I have my Instagram, alive.miss. I have a blog. I haven't written or posted much in a while, but it's www.alivemiss.com. The name's Marissa Malik. You might hear of it. You might not.
You might hear of me.
You might not. Who knows? We shall see. But so you can inbox on Marissa Malik or alive.miss or
Cool. Maybe we'll put it in the description.
The description. We can have it in the description.
Let's
Feel
do
free.
That.
Need to help. Helping hands.
Helping hands.
Yes, helping hands.
So I think this was a really good opportunity to share your story, and also kind of go into for me, what the Wandering Warrior started about was I was going overseas. I'd been through all this inner work, and I was big on the inner work, and I knew this was this dream for me and this big adventure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when I started bringing out my videos, I started realizing all this stuff that I'd learned about self-development, the mind, everything like that, I can impart this wisdom, and maybe people can take it, maybe they don't. And I'm sure more people don't take it than do, but that's okay. Like you said, if you can help one person out of 100 or more, one out of 100 million people, I'm happy. I'm
telling you, so am I.
Yeah. So I shifted it. And so the Wandering Warrior wasn't just about me, but it was about everyone. It was about all of us. It was about every human being that's going through this journey.
Souls.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because we're all wandering through life. Sorry, not
exactly
wandering.
Right.
Wandering.
But wandering, through life. Yeah.
So
exactly right.
I thought, and everyone in life has challenges, some of us more than others. Some of us have battled things for 16 years or in a hospital and keep pulling through. Marissa, thank you. You are an inspiration with your strength. I know that you're I'm not Superwoman, but seriously, mate, the amount of times I've seen you go into hospital and just pull through, and the way your mindset has been, even when I used to come and visit into the hospital, man, I give it up to you, man. It's I honestly reckon I wouldn't be able to do what you do. So,
it's okay. I just think, look, in life, you have purpose. You learn stuff, you gain knowledge from life experiences or what you study. Like, and it's important to share. And if people hear you, they hear you. It just so happens that I didn't choose this journey, but I've made the most out of it because there was just no choice. There was no choice of, okay, I could have given up. Absolutely. But, I think we have purpose, and some people see their purpose and some people learn their purpose. And I think the fact that I'm still here and that you have faith that, things can get better, or that you're not alone, and whatever you need to feel that is like, if you pray, if you're religious, if you're spiritual, if you have a supporting network or whoever, like whatever you need, like we're all on a journey, we all have purpose. And if that's excellent, you've gained so much knowledge and you're sharing it. If people hear you, they might hear you sometimes and be like, oh my God, actually I remembered what Chris said. And and you can help, you can definitely help. I think we need to use our voices to help. And in this day and age, like some people, a little, like just, I will tell you before we close, like, the messages that I have received, I'm here and I can't, when I'm not able to move anything, and it makes me feel so much love in my heart. Like I get teary because I feel that love. So words and what we say to each other is so important. And, sometimes people don't know the right words to say. They don't know what to say is the right thing. But you know what? If you have something to share, I'm telling you, people will hear it.
Exactly. And it's important for all of us to do that. And that's why I always say, make someone smile today, because you never know what small little thing can make a huge difference.
It's simple as that. Kindness is key.
Kindness. That's it. That's all it is. Just do an act of kindness. It can be so small.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool,
Chris,
Marissa.
we could talk forever.
We could. We could.
You can pick my brain.
Is there anything else that you want to share before we close it off?
Okay, maybe I'll just say, like, look, I'm in a situation. This is hospital 19. Let's be real. I don't know if I'm able to walk properly, or and everything is okay. And in time, like, even I have to know that I have to be patient. And you're desperate for help. You're desperate for understanding. You're like desperate for like someone to help save you. You know what I mean? And like, it's hard when you're a patient and you have to ask for help. Nothing is free in this world, but sometimes, I can definitely tell you, in the years I have had to fight for anything and everything that I've needed to get. So like, I know we're in hard times, and some people, they've lost their jobs, they lost what makes them them, or it's like their self-identity, like, what you spend all your time doing, and then what do I do now? People are probably lost. People are confused. They don't know how to adjust. They're too busy listening and not doing. And it's like, you need to chill, be present, focus on the positive, and, in time it will work out. Some people have to fight harder battles, but no battle is easy. So some people cope differently, and that's totally fine. We have to respect each other, understand each other. It's just basic principles. And yeah, absolutely, Chris, like, you have to be kind, and life's too short to be a shit. Like, you can have a bad day, okay, fine, but just be nice to each other, because
that's
I am
a good
telling
motto.
you,
Life's too short to be a shit.
Life's too short to be a shit, like, literally, like, you know what I mean? I can tell you, like, I worked in customer service, I worked as a makeup artist, I have done makeup on people, and it was, yes, I was an artist, but it was like, I felt like so creative. I loved what I was doing, and I felt like that person had just gained so much confidence and just felt so good. And that's why I did the job. Like, I spoke extra to people. I made people smile. I helped people. And I really understand, like, you know, in these times that are hard, like, everyone is scared to walk near each other because, you know, COVID. You know, we have masks. You can't see each other's smiles because people are wearing masks. You can only see through their eyes. Do you know what I mean? But it's still important that we smile and that we show kindness, because that's humankind. Like, you know what I mean? So don't feel like, like, seriously, we don't be controlled. Do you?
Don't be a shit.
Don't be a shit. Pretty much.
Let's leave it on that. That's awesome.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Marissa. All right, guys. So, you know the deal. Down below, like, subscribe, share Marissa's message, share the conversation, show your support to Marissa if you can, or if you would like to, if you feel called to.
Share love. And I'll help you.
Yeah.
I need to help you. Not about me. I want to help you.
There you go. See, generosity is the key.
Yes.
All right, so keep on keeping on. No worries. Go gently, and thank you, Marissa.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace.